Have you ever met someone who smiled a little too much, asked a few too many personal questions too quickly, or complimented you in a way that just didn't sit right? You couldn't quite put your finger on it, but something inside you whispered, "This isn't genuine." And yet part of you wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt, because we're taught to be kind, to be polite, to assume good intentions. But after a certain age, you learn that life is full of patterns. And sometimes, that pattern looks like someone pretending to care, when really they're after something else entirely. And that's what we're diving into today. How to recognize fake sincerity before it costs you peace, money, or trust. Because even if you consider yourself street smart, emotionally wise, or just good at reading people, the truth is no one's immune to manipulation, especially when it's sugar-coated in charm. Let's start here. Have you noticed how some people overdo their friendliness in the very first encounter? Not a genuine "how's your day," but more like an over-the-top performance. Too much eye contact, a voice that's a little too sweet, or compliments that seem rehearsed. This kind of behavior isn't always harmful, of course, but when it comes from a stranger who suddenly acts like they've known you forever, that's a red flag. See, real connection takes time. It builds naturally. But someone who wants to trick you needs to move fast. They can't wait for trust to grow. They need it to show up instantly, so they fake it. They mirror your body language, say things like, "I feel like we've known each other forever," or latch on to anything you share to seem relatable. It feels nice at first, sure, but pay attention to what happens next. Because one of the biggest reasons someone would fake sincerity is to get access, not just to your time or company, but to something they believe you can offer. That might be your money, your help, your network, or even your sympathy. And here's where it gets sneaky. They'll never ask for what they really want up front. They'll wrap it in flattery or emotional stories. They'll make you feel special, needed, or uniquely understood. And if you've ever been told you have a big heart, you're exactly the kind of person these actors target. Not because you're weak, but because you care. And that care can be weaponized. But here's the thing. They can't fake everything. Not forever. Their words might be polished, but their timing gives them away. Real friends don't rush intimacy. They don't steer conversations toward guilt or pressure. And they definitely don't get defensive when you slow things down or set a boundary. You don't need to stop trusting people altogether. You just need to trust yourself a little more. That little flicker of unease you feel in your gut? That's not paranoia. That's wisdom. Let's talk about something that happens more often than we'd like to admit. Someone steps into your life dripping with praise, kindness, and attentiveness. They listen, they nod, they say all the right things. But somehow it all feels a little too perfect. And here's why that's worth paying attention to. Another reason strangers fake sincerity, especially as we get older, is to create a shortcut to trust. They know that many seniors were raised in a time when a firm handshake and a polite smile meant something, where you gave others the benefit of the doubt, where neighbors helped each other and salesmen still came door to door. And while there's nothing wrong with decency, the world has changed. Scammers, manipulators, even casual opportunists, many of them have studied how to speak your language. They don't break in through a window. They sit down at your kitchen table and ask how your grandkids are doing. And the hardest part? Some of them actually seem like good people. Because manipulation isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's quiet, calculated, and well-practiced. It can look like a young person offering help with your groceries while subtly watching what kind of car you drive, or someone volunteering at a community event who happens to just mention an investment opportunity they know you'll love. Now, this doesn't mean you should walk around suspicious of every smile or kind word. That's no way to live. But it does mean giving yourself permission to pause, to notice when someone is overly eager to build closeness. Because real sincerity doesn't rush to the finish line. It earns its place. Think back to someone you've known for years. A real friend. Someone who's seen you in good times and hard ones. That friendship probably didn't start with them pouring out their life story in one sitting. It built slowly, moment by moment, because it was real. Fake sincerity skips that. It wants the end result, your trust, your money, your help, without doing the work. And often, the people who fake it are counting on you being too polite to question them. But you don't owe anyone immediate trust. You don't have to return every gesture with equal warmth. You are allowed to observe quietly. You're allowed to say, "Let me think about that," instead of yes. You're even allowed to say no with no explanation at all. When someone truly respects you, they won't take offense to your boundaries. But when someone fakes sincerity, they'll often react with guilt-tripping, pushback, or sudden withdrawal if you don't give them what they want quickly. That's not connection. That's control. Here's what I've learned. People who care about you won't mind a slower pace. People who fake it can't afford a slower pace. And that difference will tell you more than their words ever could. Let's keep going, because this next layer is where it really starts to get personal. You've probably heard the phrase, "If it seems too good to be true, it probably is." But when someone wants to trick you, they depend on you wanting it to be true. Maybe it's a story that tugs at your heart. Maybe it's a promise that makes you feel hopeful. Or maybe it's just someone who makes you feel seen in a moment when you really needed it. And that's where the third reason strangers fake sincerity comes in. They want to gain emotional leverage. The most effective manipulation doesn't come through threats or shouting. It comes through emotional shortcuts. "I thought you understood me," or "I've never met anyone who gets it like you do." Those words, said with enough eye contact and charm, can disarm even the most cautious person. But here's what makes it tricky. It doesn't always feel bad in the beginning. In fact, it can feel wonderful. We all want to feel special. We want to feel needed, valuable, listened to, especially if we've gone through a rough patch. Maybe we've lost someone close, or we're feeling isolated, or we just haven't had a deep conversation in a while. That's when we're most vulnerable to those pretending to be sincere. Because they don't walk in waving red flags. They walk in offering comfort. But comfort can be a disguise. And the moment they sense your guard is down, the ask will come. Maybe it's subtle. A ride, a loan, a signature. Maybe it's framed as a favor. Maybe they say you're the only person they trust. If it starts to feel like they're building a debt that you never agreed to, step back. You don't owe strangers emotional access. You don't owe anyone your vulnerability just because they showed up with a friendly smile. And if someone's sincerity is real, it won't collapse under healthy hesitation. Another reason people fake sincerity is surprisingly simple. They enjoy the control. Not always for money, not always for gain. Sometimes it's just about power. Getting others to believe them makes them feel smart, important, above the rules. It can be small things, slipping in little lies to test what they can get away with. Seeing if you'll believe them when they say, "Oh, everyone loves me here," or "Your neighbor already said yes." And when you catch someone in those small lies and they laugh it off, or act like you're imagining things, trust yourself. One small lie might not mean much, but if it's mixed in with false charm and fast closeness, it's a sign. But perhaps the most important reason some people fake sincerity is because they think you won't notice. They count on you being too trusting, too polite, or too worried about being rude to question them. So here's your permission slip. You are not rude for protecting your time, your money, or your energy. Being kind doesn't mean being naive. Being open-hearted doesn't mean being open to manipulation. You can be generous and cautious, warm and wise, friendly and firm. Because aging well doesn't just mean staying physically strong. It means staying emotionally sharp too. It means listening to your gut, honoring that flicker of something's off, giving yourself space before giving someone your trust. And that's what we're really talking about here, self-trust. You've spent decades learning about people. You know what true sincerity feels like. And if someone is faking it, you'll feel that too. If you slow down long enough to hear your own instincts. So take that moment. Trust your pause. And don't let anyone, no matter how charming they seem, rush you into giving away something you can't get back. If this message resonated with you, I'd love for you to leave a comment below. Share your story, your wisdom, or your questions. We're all in this together. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more empowering conversations just like this one. Here's to staying sharp, staying kind, and staying one step ahead at any age.